And welcome here to Inside the Huddle on the JT Sports. Now we have a bunch of games to get to, but first up, men's basketball. First up is Purdue taking on Rutgers as Rutgers is really gonna really try to play, not a spoiler for Purdue, but Purdue 15-5 this year, 26-5. One of the best seasons in Purdue history, no doubt about it, because they were really fierce this year with Zach Eady, Frost the Lawyer, and a bunch of them, and looking to make looking to make the connections made there. But Purdue also very good at running the ball, hitting threes. Rutgers, to have a chance in this game, they have to defend the 3-point line because Purdue, as a team, shoots 32% from the three. Even though that's tied for 260th, I think that is okay because you look at the stats here, and it's going to be a very crucial advantage here for for um for Purdue because Purdue really likes to move the ball well. They're 38th in assists. They're ninth in rebounds at 36, but most of that is because of the 7'4" Zach Eady. They average 7 3-point makes, but they average 46% on the field. And you look at that from all the way around, it is very, very critical here that you move the ball against this Purdue defense. Because if Rutgers gets going and just moves the ball around, they continuously just move the ball around and let Purdue make that open pass. They will hit threes all day long because they have talent and that stuff to pass the ball, really make sure that you really get going offensively, and that is that. Then it is Middle Tennessee State taking on Florida Atlantic in the Conference USA tournament. And this game will be okay because Middle Tennessee State has some good players on their team, like Jack Jubinville, 6 foot, right there in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, the hometown kid. And also they got Isaiah Lightsey, another guy from Murfreesboro. And then you got Jared Coleman Jones, the 6'10" from Haram, Georgia. That's another one that is really good. And getting out there, making sure they go out there and do it, and getting to the paint. That's what Jared Coleman Jones does for the Blue Raiders. He is really good at it because it is gonna be a key. He averages 4 points a game, and it's gonna be good. And then DeAndre Dishman as well, averaging 10.3 points per game. 6'6" from Lexington, Kentucky. He can also play at the 4 spot, but I will put him at the 2 spot because then you can really make sure he goes up and out. Then Christian Fusel, 6'10" from Decatur, Georgia. And it's going to be a very key there. For the Owls of Florida Atlantic, they have won 5 in a row. Their last loss came Thursday against Middle Tennessee State 74-70, where they went down by 1 at halftime, but Middle Tennessee State outscored 25th ranked Florida Atlantic 43-38. as Middle Tennessee State shot it worse than Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic shot at 29 of 59. Middle Tennessee State shot at 29 of 64. And Florida Atlantic made 11 threes. Middle Tennessee State only made 5, but the big reason why they won is because Middle Tennessee State made 11 free throws and Florida Atlantic 1 of 7 for the free throw line. You make 5 of them, you win. You make 5 of 7. Florida Atlantic is on a 7-game winning streak instead of a losing streak. But the key players for Florida Atlantic, you got Jalen Gaffney, the big dog, averaging 5 points per game, 30 rebounds, 30 assists per game, 30 rebounds per game, shooting at 36% from the field, 46-3 from Columbus, New Jersey, and it's really good that Gaffney is very good there. Then it's Alejandro Lalot. Alejandro Lalot, he hasn't played that much this year from San Juan, Puerto Rico, but he is a good player there. Then it's Leo Boff. Leo Boff, 6'8", from Malibu, California. You also have a big guy in the middle in Isaiah Gaines, the 6'8", from Pensacola, Florida. Then the center is also going to be Vladislav Golden, averaging 11 points per game. Then Giancarlo Rosotto, averaging 6 points per game from West Palm Beach, Florida, 6'8" from West Palm Beach. And I think this guy is going to be underrated because he is very underrated. He can go out there and really make some adjustments offensively. It's going to be just a factor where can Flat Atlantic just. I think Middle Tennessee can beat Flat Atlantic because they already did that once, and that was their last loss, 74-70. I will pick Middle Tennessee State to cover, and to win outright because that's gonna be good. And then let's do Mississippi State taking on Alabama. Alabama's an 8.5 point favorite. Alabama's 15-0 as the home team. Mississippi State is only 4-6 as the road team. Alabama's 8-2 in their last 10. Mississippi State 7-3 in their last 10. This one's gonna be good. Mississippi State could test them because the Bulldogs could test them. They beat Florida in overtime 69-68 to move on to the next round. Tyler Brunfield in Brunfield, 6'2" from Los Angeles. He can be very good. Shaquille Moore, averaging 10 points per game for the 6'1" from Greensboro, North Carolina. Also, you got Martavius Russell. Martavius Russell averaging 2 points a game, 6'2" from Coca, Alabama. So he's playing against a team that he idolizes. Then Isaac Stanberry. He hasn't played, but he is very, very good. Tululu Smith, averaging 16 points per game for the 6'1" from Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. That guy, if he goes off at 25-30 tonight, this morning against Alabama, this is going to be a very interesting game because you got players like Keyshawn Murphy as well, averaging 4 a game from Birmingham, Alabama. Another guy from Alabama. Then you got Kamani Hamilton averaging 3 a game from Clinton, Mississippi. Then you got Justin Rumpf from Birmingham, Alabama again. Then you got a big guy in Cameron Matthews averaging 7 a game from Olive Branch, Mississippi. But you got to defend Brandon Miller, and you got to defend a couple other people because their last loss, Alabama's last loss came to the hands of Tennessee Wednesday, February 15th, 68-59. And then at Oklahoma City, 93-69. But then they have been good this year. Ohio State taking on Michigan. It could have been Iowa in this situation, but Iowa choked once again yesterday. We will talk about that more and dive into Ohio State, Michigan State, the second day, the day 3 of the Big Ten tournament, right here on the show. And we also talk about Iowa baseball, and softball for Drake on the show. Inside the Huddle on the JT Sports. This episode of Inside the Huddle on the JT Sports Network is presented by Coola's. It's just sauce, some of the best barbecue you can get in Eastern Iowa. They've been shipping award winning barbecue in Eastern Iowa since 2018 at 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. To get a hold of them or to get a reservation, you can get a hold of them at 319-488-4888. 319-488-4888. And at www.coolasitjustsauce.com. www.itjustsauce.com. And Interstate Swine, helping to raise fresh and safe pork for your family and your community in Iowa since 1998. With the entire Interstate Swine team helping to serve you with Todd Wiley, Dave Carcas, Cliff McKinley, Ben Seiler, and Rob Turner. Welcome back here to the show. It is Ohio State taking on Michigan State. Could have been Iowa. But Iowa yesterday, Philip Abracha kept them in that game. 22 points. I think 22 for Abracha, actually. I think it's 22, but let's check. Because I think it was close to that, at least, but let's take a look. It was 20 for Philip Abracha. He kept them in it, but Iowa again. Whenever they need to make big plays, make plays in tight environments. Iowa just doesn't lives up to what they're set out to be. This goes all the way back to the Eastern Illinois game. You got outplayed by a team that I don't think has won many games. Yeah, Eastern Illinois 9-22. You lost to a 9-22 team who's 2-8 in their last 10 games. But you allowed them to go in Iowa City, beat you 98, 92-93, and you let East Illinois shoot 60% from the floor that game. It goes all the way back there because if you don't play to win the game, I don't know what you're playing for. Because Iowa has been like this since 2015. They have moments of, wow, this team could really make a run. Next game, or a few games after that, you're like, wow, this team might not even make the tournament. Because they're so inconsistent with their play. Tony Perkins, he's a dog. He's one of the best leaders on that team. But Illinois, 31 points. Amazing game by Tony Perkins that game. Next game, he puts up only 6. That's what I'm talking about. The inconsistency play of the Iowa Hawkeyes is the reason why Iowa lost yesterday. No question about it. No question about it. Iowa, the one positive thing you can take from this, it happens now and not in the NCAA tournament. Because, and there's no, and in the NCAA tournament, there's no second chances. There's no redos. There's no start slow and hope to come back. You can, but you might run out of time. What I'm looking for in the NCAA tournament game for Iowa, it's starting out fast. Iowa's never start out fast, except for the Iowa State game this year. North Carolina last year. But that's been the Achilles heel of Iowa, is that Iowa's defense kept them in that game against Ohio State yesterday. They did. They really did. Just that down the stretch, Iowa couldn't make those key buckets in key situations. And that's why they lost to Richmond last year. Because they couldn't hit the key spots in key situations, and Richmond did, and Richmond deserved to win that game last year. Because they were a better team. In Iowa, they might be an 8. If you're Iowa, I'd rather be a 10 seed right now than a 9 seed. Here's why. Here's why. If you're a 9 seed, you beat the 8 seed, you have to take on the 1 seed. If you're the 10 seed, you win against the 7 seed, you have to face the 2 seed. So it's actually, I'm not going to say that much better, but it will be more logical for the Hawkeyes to go in and play, because Iowa is, at the moment, I'm going to tell you this right now. Iowa, I don't think Iowa gets in the tournament being in the Big 12 or the SEC or, yeah, all these, if the Big 10, Iowa should be so grateful that the Big 10 is a good conference, or they wouldn't be even in the tournament discussion right now. Because usually a team that is 19-13 in any other conference, you look at 19-13 teams in other conferences like the Missouri Valley, Patriot, I can go on and on. They're not even in a tournament discussion. They're not. They're just not. Iowa placed 7th place in the Big Ten because they lost. And again, Nebraska. Nebraska today. A couple weeks ago. You had one chance to wrap up a double bye. What do? You fudge it. Because Iowa, when the lights is brightest, when the lights are brightest, when this team, I was saying again, they have shown some flashes of amazingness. When this team's hot, whew, yeah, they're fun to watch. But they can also go 5 to 8 minutes without scoring. Penn State, a 20-12 team, has one less loss than Iowa, one more win than Iowa, but Penn State is somehow in a bubble spot. That is the one thing that I do not understand with Penn State. I think Penn State deserves to be in the tournament more than Iowa. I think Rutgers deserves to be in the tournament more than Iowa. Iowa has only won 59% of their conference games this year. 59%. That's an F. That's an F. And Penn State has won 62 and a half. That's not that much better, but Penn State has proven that Penn State, in my opinion, and I am a diehard Hawkeye fan. This is my honest opinion, non-biased opinion. Penn State deserves to be in the tournament more than Iowa. They do. That's just a fact of the matter. And the big one that's gonna loom over Iowa's record is the loss to Eastern Illinois. If they didn't lose to Eastern Illinois, they would be 20-13. They would be probably a 7 or a 6 right now. But they they are dropped 2 or 3 seats lower than they would be. And you should punish them for losing to a 300 ranked team at home by double figures as a 31.5 point favorite. But this is not a ranting show. I'm just going to tell you this: Penn State should be in the tournament. Rutgers should be at least getting a discussion to get into the tournament. If Iowa was anywhere else but the Big Ten with that record, they wouldn't get in. Big 12, they wouldn't get in. Like you go into any major conference. You go to the MAC. You go to the Big East. Even in the Big East, with that team, you look at the Big East right now. The Big East with those records, Seton Hall's not gonna get in. Villanova's not gonna get in. St. John's is not gonna get in unless they win the tournament. Yeah, I was lucky that the Big Ten has the reputation that it does, and the skill of teams that it does, because that might bail Iowa out to get into the tournament. Because there's teams like Penn State, Rutgers. I know Rutgers and Penn State both went 10-10 this year in conference, but they have a more deserving case of of being in the tournament other than Iowa. And I'm not saying this to shame the Hawkeyes, but it's fact. When you look at the let's look at the teams. Let's look at the teams. And we'll be back with team resume comparison. We will settle this because I am very interested to see if my fact is right about Penn State, Rutgers, and Iowa. We'll be right back here on the show in just 2 minutes. This episode of Inside the Huddle on the JT Sports Network is presented by Coola's. It's just sauce, some of the best barbecue you can get in Eastern Iowa. They've been shipping award winning barbecue in Eastern Iowa since 2018 at 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. To get a hold of them or to get a reservation, you can get a hold of them at 319-488-4888. 319-488-4888. And at www.coolasit'sjustsauce.com. www.it'sjustsauce.com. And Interstate Swine, helping to raise fresh and safe pork for your family and your community in Iowa since 1998. And the entire Interstate Swine team helping to serve you with Todd Wiley, Dave Carcas, Cliff McKinley, Ben Seiler, and Rob Turner. Later Welcome back here to the show. And here is what I'm meaning about the blind, um, the resumes. As we're now with team resume comparison on brachiolarylogist.com if you want to check them out. That's an excellent resource. But look at this. Penn State's 54 in the net, Iowa's 40th in the net. Look at this, strength of schedule. Penn State had a better out of conference strength of schedule. 275th for Iowa to 122 for the Nittany Lions. That has always been the bugaboo for the Hawkeyes. In my opinion, these games where Iowa has lost games where they're just not battle tested enough. That's why they lost to East Illinois. That's why they lost to Nebraska, at Nebraska, and at home. That's why they lost at Penn State. Because they're not battle tested. They have one good game, and then the best teams in the country know what their identity are. I don't know if I can say Iowa knows what their identity is. Because it can go it changes every game for the Hawkeyes. And that could be a good thing or a bad thing. But this season has been more good than bad. I will say that for a fact. But let's go back to the time comparison. Penn State's look at this. Penn State 6-6 against quad one teams. Iowa's 5-7. So Penn State wins that category. Iowa's 8-3 against quad two teams. Penn State's 4-5. So Iowa wins that one. Iowa's 1-2 against quad three. Penn State's 4-1. That is Nittany Lions. Iowa's 5-1 against quad four. Penn State 6-0. But I will pick Penn State. And you look at, and then you put in Rutgers. You put in Rutgers in this scenario. Let's put in Rutgers too. Let's put in Rutgers too. Look at this. Look at this. Rutgers is 38th in the net, 35 in Ken Palm, 42nd strength of schedule. Look at this. Penn State has a 35 strength of record. Iowa has only a 46 strength of record. Rutgers is the least strength of record out of those three. But you look at Iowa. You take the teams on the bubble with Iowa's, some of them, and you'll be surprised at what you get. You would be surprised at what you can come up with because I think Iowa is very their resume doesn't wow me. Arizona State is the last team in. But you look at Penn State, they're in the tournament right now. I believe they should stay in the tournament. But you look at the teams that deserve it, I think more than Iowa. And then you add in Wisconsin as well. Right here, right here. We doing a comparison, if you're just joining us, a team resume comparison between Rutgers, Iowa, Penn State, and Wisconsin. The four teams that are battling out for probably two tournament spots. Iowa's locked into the tournament, but I don't think Iowa is a bona fide tournament team. In my opinion, if I was the selection committee, I would have serious doubts about Iowa making the tournament. Usually you look at Wisconsin. I don't think they should get in, so we remove them. But between Rutgers, Iowa, and Penn State has a better strength of record, better out of conference strength of schedule than them. Rutgers is 5-6 against Quad One, so Rutgers is better than Iowa is in Quad 1 games. So it's going to come down to Iowa could get an 11 seed, actually, too. I would drop them to 11. If I'm the selection committee, I would punish Iowa because you did not win a tournament game. You lost to Eastern Illinois at home as a 31.5 point favorite, the only team in the last 40 years to lose by 10 or more at home as a 31-point favorite. And the inconsistency. You don't award a team for being inconsistent. I'm This sounds like a ranting show right now about Iowa. Don't get me wrong. Iowa has shown flashes of brilliance this year. Iowa State game, for example. But you look at the Iowa resume, to be honest, it's not that impressive. You're 5-7 against Quad 1 teams, 8-3 against Quad 2. You have a losing record against Quad 3 teams, and you're 5-1 against Quad 4 teams with a loss to East Illinois. But the teams like Rutgers and Penn State, Quad 1 through 3, Penn State has a better record than you. Rutgers has a better record than you. Quad 1 through 3. So I think if I was the selection committee, I would put Iowa readily on the bubble as the last team in. Because Iowa's resume is just really not that impressive. It really isn't. We would come back to this, but how about Iowa over the weekend sweeping the baseball opponent there too? But also today we got big battles here. Also inside the conference, we got Tennessee taking on Missouri. And Missouri's only favored. No, Tennessee's favored by 5.5. But Missouri is 16-3 as the home team. Tennessee 4-6 on the road. Can Missouri pull off a upset city here today in Mizzou? And I think that's going to be a big factor here. Can DeAndre Golson, Trey Gumalon, and Damore Hodge, 6'4", from Torola, and I think that's going to be a very big factor there. But you look at, and I'm going to say it again, I'm going to go back to bracketologist.com. Please check them out if you want to chance that. But you look at Iowa, Penn State, and Rutgers. Penn State has a better card one. No, look. Let's take Iowa versus the last four buys. Versus the last four in. No, yeah, last four buys. Boise State, Providence, Penn State, Mississippi State. Okay, Iowa, Providence, Mississippi State, and Boise State. Okay, when you look at all these records, I put the last four buys with Iowa's. Look at this. Boise State, a team from the Mountain West Conference, is better than Ken Palm, the net, strength of schedule, no, out of conference strength of schedule, strength of record, but they're not good against Quad 1 teams. They're only 3-4. But they're 9-2, 6-2 against Quad 2 and Quad 3, 5-0 against Quad 4. Mississippi State, they're 4-7, and Providence is 4-8. But you look at the other teams here, I think Boise State, Yeah, but let's take a look at the last four in. Let's leave Boise State and let's put in Rutgers, Pittsburgh, Utah State, Arizona State. Arizona State, Pittsburgh, Utah State, and Utah State. Look at this. And comparing the last four in here, look at this. Utah State's 18 in the net, 21 in Ken Palm, 48th in BPI, 40th in the Saracen, 81st strength of schedule, 36th strength of record. That is second. No, that's third among the teams that I'm comparing. They only behind Boise State and Penn State. Look at this. But they 1-4 in quad one. But look at this. Other than that, 9-1 in quad two, 13-0 in quad three. 9-1 against quad two teams. But Arizona State, they have 5-5 in quad one. Pitt is 4-4 in quad one. But you look at the teams, Iowa doesn't have a good record. Penn State has the best record of these teams. Of any bubble team that I'm comparing here, Penn State has the best record. Penn State has the best record. I think Penn State should get in. Penn State should get in. If they win another game, they definitely they have locked their spot. If I think they win the next game, I think they guarantee a spot in the tournament. And Iowa might get swooped down. But let's look at the top seed. The top overall seed is Kansas. Not surprised there. Iowa State is a 5 seed right now in the West. And Iowa is an 8 seed. That is surprising. That is really surprising to me. And guess what? Alabama's in the Birmingham region. That's basically a home game for them. We're going to come back with a bunch more coverage right here on the JT Sports Network. This episode of Inside the Huddle on the JT Sports Network is presented by Coolers. It's just sauce. Some of the best barbecue you can get in Eastern Iowa. They've been shipping award-winning barbecue in Eastern Iowa since 2018 at 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. 114 East Green Street in Walker, Iowa. To get a hold of them or to get a reservation, you can get a hold of them at 319-488-4888. 319-488-4888. And at www.kulasitjustsauce.com. www.itjustsauce.com. And Interstate Swine, helping to raise fresh and safe pork for your family and your community in Iowa since 1998. With the entire Interstate Swine team helping to serve you with Todd Wiley, Dave Carcas, Cliff McKinley, Ben Seiler, and Rob Turner. Welcome back here to the show. On Empire Rich here. And the last four in, first four out. Look at this. Look at this. The blind resume. Team A is 18th in the net. Look at this. If I would take Team D, Team D has a better resume to me, and that's Penn State. That is Penn State right there. Team A was Utah State. Team B is Boise State. Team C was Iowa. Team D was Penn State. Team E was Arizona State. And Team F was Pitt. This is kind of eye-opening to me about Iowa's resume. Because Iowa's resume wasn't that good. Okay, let's compare the first four out with Penn State and Iowa. So it'll be Oklahoma State, Clemson, Oklahoma State, Nevada, and Wisconsin. And Nevada has been shockingly good this year. Okay, when looking here and everything, Nevada is better in the net than Iowa is. Better in KPI than Iowa is. Almost better strength of record. Oklahoma State has better strength of record at 18 and 15. Nevada's 21 and 10. Nevada 4 and 5. That is an okay record for a Midwest Mountain West team because they don't have that much opportunities to play them. Look at this. Nevada's 13 and 1 at home. Oklahoma State is 11 and 5, 18 and 5. Clemson is 15 and 1 and 5 and 6 on the road. They are 4 and 3 against Quad 1. I didn't go Oklahoma State because they're 6 and 12 against Quad 1. I think they're out. So let's take them out. So between Nevada, Iowa, Clemson, Penn State, and Wisconsin, who gets in? I think it's Penn State still. I think Penn State has a really solid record of note right now because they're really good at pushing the ball up and down. Let's go talk about Iowa for a second. And it's going to be a big factor here. Can Iowa really push the tempo? Let's take a look at the upcoming schedule for Iowa baseball. Iowa swept Southern University 20-8, beat South Alabama 6-2, and beat Pepperdine 10-1, and beat Co 8-2. They play Texas Tech today at 3:30. They 3-game series at 6:32 and 1, and then Wednesday they're at home against St. Thomas. They have won 7 in a row this year, 7 and 1 in neutral site games, 2-0 at home, 1-0 on the road. And you look at the Bryan resume. Team A, 39 in the net. Team B, 40th in the net. Team C, 51. Team D, 54. Team E, 81. But you look at the record. Team A's 21 and 10. Team B's 19 and 13. Team C's 23 and 9. Team D is 20 and 12. And Team E is 17 and 14. That was Nevada, Iowa, Clemson, Penn State, and Wisconsin. And Iowa's resume doesn't even go up to Nevada's very well. Nevada could really make in. And then North Carolina. Let's do North Carolina in there as well. Let's do UNC. North Carolina is 1 and 9 against Quad 1 teams, and that's why they are not going to make the tournament. Because they are 1 and 9 against Quad 1 teams, but they're 22 and 13. Look at this. Out of conference strength of schedule. North Carolina's 19th. That could keep them in. If they do get a slot, if they win like 3 games, they will get a slot because of their out-of-conference strength of schedule. Happens every year. You're rewarded for the teams that you play. Every year. You're rewarded with the teams that you play every year. And I think you're rewarded against teams that you play every year. And you try to make the most of it. But that's my thoughts about the tournament field. Until next week. Until 2 weeks from now, I'm just going to say